Wow, do we have a great program today. I am very, very excited. We have not one, not two, but 6 guests to tell us all about the 4-way test. So I'm looking forward to that. This morning, the invocation will be given by Mark King, and the pledge and 4-way test will be given by Michael Kaplan.
As we go to the Lord in prayer this morning, let's remember and think about our world, and particularly Ukraine and what's going on there. For our club, we need to remember Debbie Herbert, Bob Searcy, Bill Cole, Sue Kane, Bill McCarthy, Norris Johnson, Roger Reed, and Dan Jordan, Leon Partain, Bob Bellenfant, Robert and Dottie Fiddler. So we have a pretty good list. So I think each of us could pick out one, and each of us pray for each one. But let's go to the Lord in prayer. Oh Lord, our God, we're blessed because you are forgiving and understanding God. You've done so much for us. You keep on blessing us. Forgive us for everything we've said or done that was not pleasing to you. We ask for your forgiveness. Let us not whine and whimper over things we have no control over. Let us continue to see sin through God's eyes and acknowledge it as evil. And when we sin, help us repent and confess of our wrongdoing and receive the forgiveness of God. And when this world closes in on us, let us remember your example to slip away and find a quiet place to pray. It's the best response when we're pushed beyond our limits. We know when we can't pray, you listen to our heart. Continue to use us to do your will. Continue to bless us that we may be a blessing to others. Keep us strong that we may help the weak. Keep us uplifted that we may have words of encouragement for others. We pray for those who are lost and can't find their way. We pray for those who are misjudged and misunderstood. We pray for those who don't know you intimately. We pray for those who don't believe. We pray that every ear who hears this prayer knows there's no problem, circumstance, or situation greater than God. Every battle is in your hands for you to fight. We pray that these words be received into the hearts of everyone who hears them and every mouth that confesses them. This is my prayer. In your holy name, we pray. Amen.
Now, will everybody join me in the Pledge of Allegiance? Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Now the 4-way test for the things we think, say, and do. Number 1.
Is it true?
Number 2.
Is it fair law concern?
Number 3.
Will it build goodwill and friendships?
And number 4.
Will it be beneficial?
Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the March 25th meeting of the Brentwood Rotary Club. My name is Drew Rogers. I'm the current secretary of this club. I get the privilege of introducing our guests and visiting Rotarians every week. We have a number of guests today, and I'm going to start with Arlene Martin Norman. She is a website guest, but she is also interested in learning more about Rotary. And if you'd like to stand, Arlene, and introduce yourself, you're welcome to do so.
This afternoon now. Hello, everyone. My name is Arlene Martin Norman, and I am a retired state employee who does some consulting work in human resource risk management. And so I'm happy to be here, and I'm looking forward to working with you guys.
Welcome, Arlene. Glad you're here. I'll stand in one spot, Lennis, so that you don't have to work harder than you have to. We have a number of guests that I'm really excited about, and they are sparing you from having to listen to me, my poor diction in Alabama English. Charles, if you would like to introduce them now, or if you would like to wait until they take the stage. Okay, so we're going to have a great program for you all today, the 4-way test speech contest. So thank you all for being here. This is a privilege, and it's going to be a lot of fun for us to listen to you. So with that, President Crossley, back to you.
All right, very good. We're going to forgo Happy Bucks today in the interest of time. Jordan has an announcement this morning.
I don't want to take too much of your time, but for those of you who know, I do work in the senior living industry. And as a part of what I do outside of that and volunteering my time is working with Alzheimer's Tennessee. We, as Alzheimer's Tennessee, are doing our first annual Williamson County Walk happening on May 14th at Franklin First United Methodist. So I just wanted to put that out there for y'all. If you guys are familiar at all with Alzheimer's Tennessee, they're a local nonprofit, and 85% of their proceeds come right back here to our backyard in Williamson County in Middle Tennessee specifically. So if you all would be interested in learning more about how you could help, whether that's donating or walking that day or volunteering or something as simple as putting up a flyer in your business, let me know. Come see me afterwards. Thanks so much.
Pancake Day. Who is going to be our sponsor talking today? Jane.
As a reminder, Pancake Day is coming up on April 23rd. As of right now, we only have 29 folks signed up to help. I think Betsy said last week, this is the one event that we do every year that everyone is asked to participate in. So you've got the link, you could sign up online, but there is a piece of paper right in front of you on your table. If you have not signed up, please do it. And if you can't be there on April 23rd, would you please just put that on a piece of paper, because we have to call everyone that we've not heard from. And so please spare us from having to make that phone call. Please volunteer before you get voluntold. Thank you. I'm not sure when the tickets will be done.
We don't know yet, but we will have them before the 23rd. I just can tell you that much, Mark. Okay. And for the students who are talking today, if you know folks that need extra hours for community service, we will give you those with a certificate if you come work. So just pass the word to friends and neighbors. Yeah, we'll be more than happy to do that. It's on a Saturday, and it's from 7 in the morning to 11, and we will give you the entire 4 hours if you come. All right, awesome. Larry is not here today. Yeah, he's not here today, but just remind everybody, just ask. Team captains, keep after your folks if you could. And finally, to make sure we've got more time, Charles, we're going to go ahead and start with you guys.
Okay, we're gonna find the slide with the name on. Okay, perfect. They're coming. Excellent. Thank you so much for coming today. It's always fun when we get local students to come out, whether it's for our big scholarship program or our annual speech program. Now, for you new members, you may not even be familiar with this program because thanks to COVID, we haven't done it, I think, for 2 years. Is that right? Something like that. But everybody's allowed to talk to each other again, which means we're allowed to resume this competition. This is a competition where high school students from the Brentwood High School speech and debate program, yay, come and give 4 to 5 minute speeches where they apply the Rotary 4-way test to an issue in their personal lives or an issue for society as a whole. I've selected 4 or 5 judges out there who have the criteria upon which they will be judged, and they'll each speak for roughly 5 minutes, and then we'll determine the winner. Just so you know, there's real money at stake here. The winner gets $200. The second place gets $150. Third place gets $100. The winner will then go on to, no, members cannot participate, so no. The winner will then go on to district competition in a few weeks, where the top prize is $2,000. And I hope we have yet to have a winner. We had a runner-up a few years ago from this club. One of us, I really want you to get that too. One of y'all, I want you to get that $2,000. And then I think there's a national competition after that. Lord knows what the prize is there. We'll find out. Okay, and since we have them here, I'd love to get to know them just a little bit. So I'm going to bring you up in this order. Yep, this order. So we'll start with Ollie. Come on. God, you didn't know you were going to go first, did you? All right. Come on up here. I haven't even gotten to shake your hand yet. Thank you for coming. Tell us a little bit about yourself. What's your name?
My name is Ollie Sadikyar. I'm a sophomore at Brentwood High School, and I guess I like to eat watermelons. That's an interesting fact.
That's an interesting fact. Excellent. Okay, good. All right. So are you ready?
Yeah. Can I use this instead of like this microphone?
Absolutely, you can. Whatever you're comfortable with.
All right.
Hold on a second. No, we're going to get the clock going.
Got it.
Judges, are you ready? Judges out there. Everybody got a pen? I assume you've all got your pen.
All right.
Ooh. Okay. 4 to 5 minutes, 5 minutes max.
Yep.
You're ready to go. Bring it on out.
All right. I guess I'll begin now. Think back to the middle of August last year. Everybody in the country, every news outlet was talking about the Taliban takeover of Afghanistan, how terrible it was, how disastrous it was for the people. All of my peers at school were talking about how this tyrannical regime had taken back over. It was an absolute disaster. But just 1 month later, public attention to this crisis was 3% of what it had been at the peak. The suffering of hundreds of millions of people was turned into nothing more than a short-term news story. The starvation and fear that these people live in was turned into nothing more than a news story. And it's not anyone's fault that this news story has come in one ear and out the other. It's the way our society is structured. We often choose to be oblivious to what is going wrong and just keep our minds at ease with what is going right. But in fact, the only reason I'm really conscious about this is because the majority of my extended family is stuck in a doomed country in Afghanistan. But then the question rises, what can we do to help them? I mean, it's on the other side of the world, and it's not like we can just take back Afghanistan. And I think this is where we can look to the Rotary four-way test to help guide our decisions. In 1932, Herbert J. Taylor invented the four-way test, and it was used as a means of making decisions ethically. You ask yourself 4 questions, and I argue it can be applied at a larger scale to tackle major problems like these ones. The 4 questions are as follows. Is it the truth? Is it fair to all concerned? Will it build goodwill and better friendships? And will it be beneficial to all concerned? I'd say right now, the Taliban's regime in Afghanistan, fails by every metric here. It is not the truth. If anything, there is no truth in their claims that they're ruling more leniently. It is just as harsh as ever. It is not fair to the people who live every day in fear and are risking starvation. And it is not building goodwill and better friendships. The Taliban are destroying relations with other countries and alienating Afghanistan from the rest of the world, which means there's less aid for these people who really need it. And finally, it's not beneficial at all. The Afghan people have seen the greatest detriment to themselves as they lose everything. Their livelihoods have been completely lost and their worlds have been turned upside down. We might not be able to turn their worlds back to the right side up, but these 4 questions can help guide us in helping us ethically do our best to help those whose lives have been turned upside down. And because right now, over 500 Afghan refugees are in Nashville and more are arriving as we speak from around the world. And the 4-way test can be applied to help those people who need it most. If we look back to the 4-way test, there's nothing more honest than helping those in need. And it's only fair to help those who have had everything stripped away from them. It's going to build goodwill and relations because the bonds that you create by helping those in need last a lifetime. And the Afghan community around the world would be eternally grateful for helping them in a dire time such as this. But most of all, it is the absolutely most beneficial thing we can do to help them, just giving them, these refugees, basic skills, like helping them learn basic English, giving them the basic skills and teaching them the lay of the land in America so that they can finally have stability for the first time in their lives, which have been completely volatile, torn by war and traveling across the world to try and find a safe haven. If we give them the skills to make America the safe haven they've been looking for and give them stability, I'd argue that is the greatest benefit of all. Overall, I call upon all of us people, all of my peers, to bring attention to this issue, bring it to light. Just because the media has forgotten about the struggles of the Afghan people doesn't mean that we have to. There are so many people here and around the country who can do so much more than we're already doing to help these refugees acclimate better, to help those whose lives have been turned upside down. I'd say overall, at that point, the four-way test helps us make order of the chaos. Just because the media has forgotten about the disaster in Afghanistan and its effects doesn't mean that we have to. We need to do whatever we can so that these people's livelihoods become more than just a short-term news story. The best course of action seems impossible to figure out until we look to the four-way test, which has worked time and time again to provide a basic moral ground for making decisions, but can also be applied to help us tackle major problems like this one. We must give a voice to the unheard. We must remember the forgotten. It is imperative we give everything we have to those who have nothing. So when the next refugee makes the perilous journey across the world, they can have a safe haven in our communities. Thank you.
Thank you. How long has your family been here? Okay. Okay. Yeah. Wow. Thank you for making that story very personal for us. Judges note he was within time, so no deductions necessary for time. And I should have said this before. You didn't need it, which is great. I'll do this for 30 seconds. Is that okay? This for 30 seconds, and I don't know, this for 10. That's confusing, isn't it? 30 seconds, and I'll do this when you're over. All right. Okay, great. Who's next? Looks like Eli. Yes. Oh, well, you're talking to the wrong guy. What should I do about that? Can you sing your speech to the tune? Am I still on? Oh, do we still? Yep, I'm still on. Good. Second. Absolutely. Can you put it right there and time it? Yeah, 5 minutes max. Okay. So Eli, tell us about yourself.
Yeah. So I'm Eli Grippenstraw. I'm a junior at Brentwood High School. I guess one interesting fact is I play tennis on the Brentwood High School team.
You can always tell, by the way, the speech kids, because I interview kids a lot for a variety of reasons, and oftentimes you have to pull it out of them. And these kids are like, all right, I'm Eli. Here's the story. Yeah. No, totally.
And I'm holding the keys to a brand new Chevrolet.
Don't touch the mic. All right, don't touch the mic. Eli, I should have asked this to you also, Ali. What competition do you do? What event do you do?
Just like I think all of us do. We all do public forum debate where teams of two debate on topics like close to home, both, and then also about foreign policy.
Okay. So you spend a lot of time researching and talking about international and national events.
Yeah, yeah.
Great. So this is easy for you, right?
Yeah.
Okay, great. Eli, you've got 5 minutes. Thank you so much.
Okay. Is everyone ready? Okay, I will start my time now. Democracy is one of the cornerstones of our world. As I research and as I mentioned with debate, we look at all these foreign policy decisions and the issues that we have to solve are all caused by one thing: democracy being lost. What we see is around the world, and even sometimes in our very own country, we see sometimes major, sometimes minor losses of democracy that hurt everyone involved. The idea and thesis of democracy across the world is provide a fair and equal system so that all people, even people who aren't usually represented, are able to have their decisions and have their choice. Sadly, even as we develop as a society and become more modern, we're seeing a loss of democracy across the world. But let's look right now at a more recent example, and of course, the Ukrainian-Russian conflict. Let's look at Russia as a whole. What we know about Russia is that for a long time, it has been either communist or ruled by an authoritarian dictator. However, and that's the reason for these invasions to happen. What we see is that even though these protests have been put down, there have been some protests by Russians who are against the war. This shows that the ideas of one man, Vladimir Putin, do not speak for them all, but yet he's the only one left to rule the country. And this is shown as he's able to invade these countries and have awful reasons to invade these countries, such as Ukraine. But it's not limited there. Even our allies and even NATO members, such as Poland and Hungary, have seen authoritarian regimes pull up under our eyes. We see just small changes over time that we often forget about. Sure, in the media, we might see some press being covered up or an unfair election, but we don't think how that affects us here. And that's the issue. We see in Poland, just one prime minister taking control, and this is a disastrous thing that cannot be allowed. And that's really important because what we find is that when the United States works to help democracy around the world, we actually help democracy within our own country. And that leads me to the four-way test. First of all, is it the truth? What I find is that democracy is the best way to lead us to the truth. The authoritarian regimes that are starting up across the world have one man's truth, not the whole country's, meaning that we do not fairly represent everyone. And then, is it fair to all concerned? Democracy is the only chance of government that is fair to all concerned because everyone has a free and ability to vote in these elections. However, one caveat is that even while we've seen democratic backsliding across the world, elections have become fair, which proves that just fighting for election fairness is not the only way to fight for democracy. We must fight for it everywhere and not just in elections. There's so many different paths to this. But then, will it build goodwill and friendships? What we find is in democratic nations, such as America and such as Western Europe, they're able to provide aid across the world, providing good aid. But also, just in our localized communities, democracy allows for things such as debate that allows us to not only build friendships, but also discuss issues to ourselves. That's why it's so important to have democracy, because whenever we discuss issues amongst friends, amongst people, amongst family, we're to create a better solution for all. It starts at the local level, and just small local changes can affect the whole national government. That leads to me, well, that's why even like small democratic mishaps in the local governments can cause these huge concerns. Yes, we may not notice them. Yes, they may be small, but even small misinformation can cover this up. And finally, is it like beneficial to all concerned? What we find is democracy is the only thing that has improved the lives of people across the world over the past 100 years. There's a reason we start seeing an increase in life expectancy in countries that have democracy compared to authoritarian regimes. It's because they provide a fair and equal access, and it's not corrupt. But now let's lead into the final part of my speech, which is about how democracy specifically is being lost right now. Even in countries known to be democratic, such as the United Kingdom, such as America, we see one devastating trend that can really hurt us: surveillance and AI. What we see is that with these surveillance systems, such as a documentary I watched just today, in these fair countries, such as the United Kingdom, surveillance cameras and facial recognition that we thought was just in the countries like authoritarian like China, excuse me, is now in these countries and is now tracking ordinary people with false causes. This is so devastating. Even if you think our government is good, when they have the ability to track every single person, that leads to devastating effects. And that means that it's going to be so unbeneficial and there's no political opposition. This happens in the United States as well. And it's really important because even no matter of your political affiliation, if you have to know if one side gets control, they may track others, causing democracy to be lost. And we cannot lose democracy. The best way to stop democracy from being lost is to talk with your friends, talk with people around you to help support democracy. Discussion is the best way. Thank you.
I get to, oh, sorry, touched it. He's taller than me. What am I supposed to do? They're all taller than me. I get to judge debate rounds sometimes, and I love the way the students, the competitors, will always come in and police themselves. They time their own rounds. They call out their own, when they violate the rules of the other person. I mean, as a judge, you hardly have to do anything. And I love the way, Eli, you came up here. Can I just time this? Because you're not doing it right. Yeah. Great. Okay, so let's see who's next. Who's next? Let's see. Ollie, Eli, Nihar. Come on up, Nihar. Good to see you. What year are you? Tell us about yourself.
I'm a junior at Brentwood High School. I also do debate just like everyone else. And I'm also a really big fan of watermelons, just like Ollie. Okay.
All right. Great. Take a moment if you like and begin when you want to begin.
Insist on yourself. Never imitate. This is one of the greatest maxims.
I'm sorry, it's totally rude to interrupt. Judges, are y'all, anyone out there need a second? Yeah. Okay, take a second. Now this is the part where we, what's that? Yeah. This is the part where we have to fill in space, Nihar.
Okay.
So what do you do when you're not debating?
I play a lot of video games and I also play a good amount of basketball. So.
Oh, good.
Yep.
You play on the team or just?
No, I'm not good enough to play on the team. But I do play. I have played numerous times with Ollie and Eli at Granny White Park, at River Park right there. So yeah.
Who's the best basketball player between the three of you?
Honestly, Ollie's very shifty.
Yeah.
He's very mobile. Eli's built like a tank. He can just drive straight through. And I'm just there, honestly. Like, I just shoot the ball whenever I can. So
Get the ball, throw it
yeah,
as fast as you can before Eli hits you. All right, good. You got big plans for the summer?
I'm not sure right now. I have to check with my family, but I think I might go to Florida with some of my friends. So
okay, that'll be fun. All right, we're all waiting. Are you good now? Okay.
Okay.
Sorry to make you restart. You good?
Yeah, it's okay. Sound good?
Oh, wait, wait.
Okay. Insist on yourself. Never imitate. This is one of the greatest maxims of all time, illustrated by the great American essayist Ralph Waldo Emerson. In my AP language class, we were studying one of his texts, as many of my fellow peers have analyzed. And one of his greatest essays was titled Self-Reliance. This is one of the greatest American ideals of all time, because self-reliance is really good because it encourages not just honesty, but also practicality. Practicality and honesty is core to each of the 4 points in the four-way test, specifically with truth. When you maintain honesty and when you maintain practicality, you're able to encourage the truth to actually stand out. But specifically, self-reliance is unique, as it not only encourages positive interactions with other people, but the truth with yourself. Keep in mind that when you maintain self-reliance, you're independent from others, and you use your own reason, and you use the free will that mankind has been gifted to form practical and honest opinions. These opinions are essential because these are not biased and these are not affected by others' opinions. Keep in mind that this is essential when it comes to a mass amount of political misinformation in America right now. The problem is, and this is only exacerbated by the use of social media, is that right now, many people, many political parties, both sides, always tend to use political misinformation to disparage and ruin their opponents. This is really devastating because it not only impacts elections and election results, but it also affects the lower income and minority groups because these laws are often disproportionately biased against them. These political misinformation is essential because it applies to every part of the four-way test. The first is on the truth. When you through political misinformation, people often use honest and dishonest and biased opinions to only influence the sway of elections. And these elections are devastating because when you have biased elections and you essentially affect every form of legislation that directly affects each and every American. It is easy to practice honesty and practicality with other people. But when you practice when you look at the things you see on social media and you form your own opinions, you're able to not only maintain that honesty and practicality with others, but with yourself as well. This is essential, as it not only encourages the truth, but also fairness. Because when political misinformation is spread around, these elections are often like really messed up, and they ruin like a lot of the laws. But also on goodwill. Self-reliance is a key example of virtue, as it serves as an inspiration for all of our friends. When you maintain self-reliance, you not only affect yourself and affect your core essence, but you also affect others because you serve as an inspiration. Oftentimes in America and around the world, we often see a herd mentality. But when you maintain self-reliance, you're able to see this herd mentality go down. Take, for example, countries like China. In China, just like Eli mentioned, a lot of like communists, or not communists, but like authoritarian leaders tend to take control of their people. The problem is that in this political misinformation, you're able to see other people lose their sense of truth and essentially develop a herd mentality. But through Emerson's self-reliance, you're able to see that the truth is able to be spread. But on friendship and goodwill, through self-reliance, the problem is that polarization, specifically in relation to like politics, is devastating because it not only divides like election results and things like that, but it also divides families and friends. The problem is that when you see one side often being swayed to the other, you often see families and friends split apart because people are often like encouraged by this polarizing opinions, which is really devastating. But when it comes to like, will it be beneficial to all concerned? Self-reliance is essential because when you maintain your own honest and practical opinions, you're able to find that the goodwill of all of others are maintained. To finish it off, Emerson finished his essay with one key maxim: to believe our own thoughts, to believe what is true for you, and your private heart is true for all of man, and that is truly genius. Thank you.
Good. Now I'm going to give the judges a little moment to catch up. If you wouldn't mind, just to help me out, because we're going to want to quickly tabulate at the end. Make sure to take it all the way down to the bottom. Put that final score on there. How did the Brentwood debate team do overall this year? Yeah, did we win state? Oh, state is. Nice. Yeah, that's good. And generally, I think you all oftentimes split things with Ravenwood, right? Not this year. Ravenwood parents, just it's about half Ravenwood here, so I like that now. Good. All right. Right. How am I doing? Looking at judges, they still have their heads down, so that's okay. What's the? Oh, we got a question. That's a great idea. Let's do questions about Brentwood High School and Brentwood debate while we wait for the judges to catch up.
So debate is under forensics. So there's under forensics is debate, and then there's also speech. So this is kind of more of a speech event, honestly, but debate this involves it just under forensics.
I did international extemp. That was my fun thing. That's speech, right? Because nobody ever argued with me. I got to say it, and nobody ever argued. It's nice. It's not like marriage at all, in case you're wondering. Yeah. All right, I'm looking at my judges. Do they look? That one's done. This one's like going to get more food. She finished like 5 minutes ago. Okay. All right, judges are all caught up. 3 down. Okay, good. All right, who's next? Let's see. We just did Neha. So Neha, come on up, Neha. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Hello everyone. I am Neha Thunigavalen. I am a freshman at Brentwood High School. And since we're all talking about our favorite fruits, I guess my favorite fruit is raspberries.
All right. Are you ready?
Yes.
Are you doing your own time?
Yes, sir.
Time is always good. Begin when you're ready.
I will begin if everyone is ready. And I will begin my time now. Art. It is a concept represented in various forms. Now, when I think about art, the first thing I think about is simple drawings with crayons and colored pencils. But then thinking about the meaning of art more deeply, there's a realization that art is a personal way that people convey their own message to the world. Now, the definition of art is the expression or application of human creativity and imagination. Now, as someone who goes to a public school, on a daily basis, I meet a large variety of people. There are the popular kids who tend to wear specific branded clothes. There are the athletic kids who wear athletic and sportive clothes. And then there are the emo kids who tend to wear darker clothes. And on the other hand, there are the gothic kids who tend to wear heavier makeup. Now, these are not all the categories, but one thing all these categories have in common is it's all an expression. Frank Gehry once said, "It is not an elitist to acknowledge that everyone is unique and everyone is different." Now, even though it is not apparent at first, the way an individual dresses conveys great amount of that person. Now, schools that tend to enforce uniform among their students, they are not letting their students express themselves the way that they would like. They're losing their individuality. They're not being unique to themselves, and they're being made to fit into this tight, clean packed box, while they would truly otherwise would like to go outside of the box and explore themselves and where they fit into the world. As young kids, we all are taught to be different and make our own difference in the world. But how can we do that when we are being trained from a young age to be like everybody else instead of exploring what we truly like? By applying the four-way test, it is abundantly clear that school uniforms among students are not beneficial at all. First, is it the truth? It is not the truth. By having kids use school uniform, you are making them clones of their peers. They're no longer able to be themselves and be unique to themselves. Then, is it fair to all considered? No. One of the core values I learned in school in English class, is to express myself through reading and writing. Expression through clothing is extremely similar in this ideal. Then, will it build goodwill and better friendships? Not necessarily. In my age, students tend to have better friendships and are more comfortable with people that they have similar ideals and just similar with. One way they know that they're similar with someone is the way they dress, because that's a type of expression. Then, will it be beneficial to all concerned? No, because right now with school uniform, students are being forced to fit into this small status quo instead of figuring out what they truly love and enjoy and where their place is in this world. Now, as I stated multiple times throughout this speech, exploring and understanding yourself is extremely important short-term wise and long-term wise. And a famous celebrity that a lot of you may know is Kelly Clarkson. And she once said that everyone is different shapes, sizes, personalities. But an important thing is to celebrate all those differences, because that's what makes you different. Taking away students' ability to express themselves is not only detrimental to their current way that they're able to fit into the world, it's gonna, long-term wise, not benefit them at all. Schools are suppressing students' creativity. Art, the expression or application of human creativity and imagination. It's truly a special thing. Thank you.
Wouldn't it be cool if our club had cliques and somebody was goth and came dressed that way with like heavy makeup? I'd like to see that. All right, I see the judges have their heads down. Why don't we can do the introduction. Who's next? Neha Parsa, come on up. How you doing? Good. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Hey, I'm Parsa Karalahi. I'm a freshman at Brentwood High School. And like everyone else has been talking about with fruits, I'd like to say that I know how to say orange in Portuguese. It's laranja, by the way.
Do you know it in a variety of languages? I feel like that would be a good party trick.
I'm not sure. I'd assume it's similar.
No.
I don't know. I'm sorry.
You have to learn that. Okay. How are we doing, judges? Good. Did you tell us what else you do? What else do you do besides debate?
I also do Cyber Patriot, which is basically like a club where like you learn cybersecurity basics and like it just helps you for like future in life. And I think I'd want to do something in that field. So that's what I do.
That's a good field. I have clients who are in cybersecurity. That is not going away. That's for sure. All right, good. So I got a thumbs up there. I got a thumbs up there. All our judges are ready. Excellent. Great. Now I see. Are you going to time yourself? Or do you
yeah, I'll time myself.
Okay. All right. Begin when you are ready.
All right. I'll begin now. I'd like to start off with a few facts. First, in the United States of America, 1.5 million people go to sleep homeless each night. In the United States of America, 1 in 50 children experience homelessness annually. In the United States of America, 40% of homeless individuals are veterans that fought for our nation. In the United States of America, these homeless people lose on average 19 years of their life simply for being homeless. And what have we done? What have we done for the heroes that sacrificed their lives for our freedom? The children that are our future? This is what we've done. In 2015, Tennessee legislature passed a bill that charges any homeless person engaging in quote unquote aggressive panhandling $500. Then 2016, In Oregon, the Oregon Department of Transportation spends $1 million on implementing large boulders and installing them on the sides of roads simply so homeless individuals cannot sleep there. 2018, under the false pretext of cleaning up the subways, New York City implements benches in which homeless people are not allowed to sleep because they want to keep the city clear of homeless people. Let's examine this anti-homeless infrastructure using the four-way test to see if it's true, if it's kind, if it's fair, if it's builds friendship, and if it's beneficial to all. First, is it truthful? It's the undeniable truth that homelessness is a plague in the United States. And this plague is quite a paradox, considering that we have enough houses and vacant lots to provide for each of these homeless individuals, especially in cities such as New York, where the amount of vacant lots outnumbers the homeless population. The truth is, and the truth was, that homelessness is not supposed to be solved by combating them with anti-homeless architecture, but it's supposed to be solved using and supporting and continually facilitating the support for homeless individuals. This goes into the next point. Is it fair to all concerned? First of all, it's not fair to either the homeless people, but it's also not fair to the general populace. It's not fair to homeless people since it engages them in a cycle of poverty in which they're forced to spend hundreds of dollars simply just for being homeless in anti-homeless legislature. Additionally, this is exacerbated once you realize that the fact that most homeless individuals are minorities. Minorities are disproportionately represented in the homeless population. Then let's see how it affects the general populace. Anti-homeless infrastructure is considered hostile infrastructure. What it does is it ruins the lives for the general populace, especially elderly individuals who often don't benefit from these spikes and rocks that are put on the streets. This goes into the third point. Does it help benefit friendship and goodwill? Again, this is a no. Anti-homeless architecture, all it does is it divides us, both mentally and physically. Physically, in that benches are being separated just so homeless people can't sleep on them. And mentally, in that studies have shown that anti-homeless architecture have shown to mentally ruin the mental state of general people in the cities. It's clear that when we're striving for cohesion in a nation, we cannot be putting it down on the homeless population. This goes into the fourth point. Does it benefit all? It's clear that it benefits nobody except the cities trying to create a facade of no homelessness, when in reality, they're just trying to solve a problem that by putting it to the corner. The taxpayers don't benefit. They're spending millions of dollars of tax money simply so that they can install rocks on the sides of roads, just so that homeless people can't sleep there. Don't you think that this money could just go help with funding, especially when you consider that there's an abundance of vacant lots? Additionally, it doesn't help the homeless population considering that they're being disproportionately discriminated against and are put in cyclical poverty so that they can't get out of their situation. In conclusion, it's clear that anti-homeless architecture is a big problem, and I encourage you to call your local representatives to engage, tell them to stop continuing to install these rocks in the sides of streets, spikes in the middle of benches, and posts that are in the random historical places. It's necessary that we as a society help try and combat anti-homeless architecture. Thank you.
$4:59:48. That is an excellent use of the entire time. Love it. All right. Give the judges a minute. We have a final competitor. Got to be Alexander Gardner. Come on up, Alexander. How are you doing?
Good, thank you.
Good. Good to see you. Tell us about yourself.
Hi, I'm Alex Gardner. I'm a senior at Brentwood High. I'm on the debate team like everyone else. Big fan of apples, actually. I know it's generic, but like, you know, it's a classic. You got to go with it. Yeah.
You're a senior, which means you've probably gotten into some colleges. Do you know where you're going?
I have, yeah. Right now, it's looking like I'm going to UC Irvine in the fall. So excited about that.
Do we have any UC Irvine grads? No UC Irvine. Any UC anything? What's that? He did? Did he have? He went to UCLA. What's that? He went to Berkeley. Okay, so I got a couple of these. Excellent. So tell us why you want to go to California.
Weather's nice. That's the big thing, really. The weather's nice. I'm a skateboarder. I skateboard a lot, and California is like a good place for that. Just like the skate culture there is great. Okay. So it's a big incentive.
Yep, absolutely. Good. All the judges are caught up. Great.
All right.
All right. You gonna time yourself?
Yeah.
Perfect. Begin when you're ready.
All right. 40 million US adults admit to regularly watching pornography. This is about to be a very awkward 4 minutes. But it's important to talk about these things because it's awkward. It's something that like goes overlooked a lot. And it's really important to talk about because it's hit a point where pornography has become so widespread that the average age for a person to first view pornography is only 11. That's a fifth grader. And so let's see how the Rotary Club's four-way test applies to this, which goes as follows. Is it the truth? Is it fair to all concerned? Does it promote goodwill and better friendships? And is it beneficial to all concerned? Well, first, let's look at the truth. Pornography depicts an unrealistic depiction of sex. It shows women as like immediately ready to have sex at any moment, especially if it's abusive, degrading, and violent, which simply isn't true. And when viewers are constantly exposed to this, they normalize this idea in their head of violence against women, which is really bad. So clearly it isn't the truth. Secondly, is it fair to all concerned? Well, it certainly isn't fair to the actors, given that abuse is rampant in the industry. Now, viewers simply have no way of knowing whether or not what they're watching is consensual or like ethical at all. And abuse is rampant in the industry. And one such way this happens is through rigging exit videos. Now, an exit video is a video made at the end of a more extreme type of video where essentially the director has the actors sit down in front of a camera and talk about whether or not the whole thing was consensual, whether or not they enjoyed it, if they'd shoot with the studio again. But here's the catch. Actors are not paid until the video is finished, meaning that if the director doesn't get the answers that they want in the exit video, then the actors aren't getting paid. This is essentially just silencing these actors, meaning that any sort of mistreatment in the industry goes completely under the rug, meaning that this isn't fair to the actors at all. But then the third point, does it promote goodwill and better friendships? Again, no. Porn kills relationships. And the way this happens is quite simple. Porn shows women as being extremely hypersexualized. And when viewers are constantly exposed to this hypersexualized version of women, real women simply are not enough for them anymore. And they lose attraction to their partners. And so this is super harmful in romantic relationships and absolutely kills attraction in relationships. But then lastly, is it beneficial to all concerned? Again, it is not, especially to viewers. Those who view pornography regularly are found to be more likely to be depressed. Along with that, pornography is very addictive, with 6% of adults likely being addicted to porn. Now, the way this works is simple. When viewers are constantly watching porn, their serotonin receptors are fried, meaning that they don't derive joy from the things they otherwise would derive joy from, making their life miserable and making them reliant on pornography. Now, this is very obviously bad and not at all beneficial. So we as a society need to band together and stop the demand for porn so we can stop the abuse in the industry, stop ruining our relationships, and make ourselves happier. Overall, by ending the demand for porn, we are bettering our society. And thank you for your time.
Thank you for fearlessly taking that one on. I appreciate that. Okay, so we're gonna give a second. Now, who wants to add up? Who wants to add them up? You got the calculator over there. Go here, I'll let you, no, not you, okay. Devin, would you like to add the tabulator? Understood. Okay. When a judge is done, if you'd raise your hand, I'll come and get your sheet. All right, boss, we have, oh, Betsy is one of the judges, so I'll stop bothering her too. All right, what else is going on in Brentwood? Fill us in.
So I guess debate-wise, we have the district tournament tomorrow, which allows our school to qualify for the state tournament, which is in April. And yeah, we also have the tournament coming up next week. Yes, that's yep, that's like the biggest debate. Yeah, qualify for
Excellent. Are any of you going to tournament of champions? The three of you are. Excellent. Oh, good. Excellent. Good. All right. Judges are gathering it up. 1, 2. Drew, you want to do 5 minutes of your presentation? Well, you're ready, right? Just like, yeah, no problem. All right.
What's your favorite debate topic? There was a topic this year about cryptocurrency circulation. It's kind of like an idea that really new and affects us like now, and we don't really understand it, but it really helps us understand it. It has a major implications on all the economy. Only know it.
I have a question. For the students to prepare for these speeches, for the four-way test speech, what kind of parameters were you given to prepare for this 5-minute speech today?
We were given like the rules and basically just general outline of what we were supposed to do. And of course, we were familiar with the four-way test. So we used that as a basis to go up for speeches. And like as debaters, we're taught to like research. Research means to like search over and over again. So what we did was we basically just like researched for these topics like, in debate. And I believe that I'm pretty sure I can speak for all of us when I say that all of us use these research skills that we picked up in debate for this so that we can like actually
And one of the things that these guys couldn't do is they couldn't use props. So it makes it much more difficult, I think, not to have, you know, something that you can show to prop up what you've done. It's all on you, individual. Have you been into any debates outside of our district, outside the schools?
Yeah, so
This year and last year, because of COVID, most of the national tournaments that we go to in order to qualify for the tournament champions are online. So for example, me and Ali have been to tournaments in Iowa and in California at Stanford, but they're all online this year and virtual, which is actually kind of cool because you get to meet people across the country.
And how many of you are going to do forensics when you end up going to college, wherever it is you're going to be? Boom, there you go. All right, very good. Any other questions? Guys, we thank you. Another round of applause while we're figuring out what's going on. If I had a drum roll, I would be using it right now. All right. Yes, why not? Anybody have any happy bucks at this time? Yeah. I guess everybody's bracket was shot to heck, and so they didn't care anymore, right? It's go Pig Suey. That's all you got left from the SEC. All right. And maybe the Cinderella team will win. Who knows? All right. Yeah. Well, I will tell you, next week, we'll go ahead and do some announcements real quick. Next week, we are going to be giving those of you who have earned your Paul Harris Fellow pins, your pins for this year. So if you know that you're going to advance a little bit more because of your generous giving for the foundation, I would wish you would please come and receive your pin next week if you could. Also, let's see, we can go ahead and just show the last slide. I was thinking a lot about forgiveness this week, and so I ended up doing forgiveness doesn't change the past, but it does enlarge the future. I think that's a pretty good way of looking at not holding on to something and moving forward with it. So take that with you this week when you get into hot water with somebody. Just try and forgive them. Did we use calculators with this and it's still taking us out? Just saying. As it should be. Well, I gave that up a long time ago.
Do we have time for rebuttals?
Oh, there we go. There we go. All right.
All right. I have here the results. Who's got drum roll coming out there? Give me a little drum roll here. All right. So we have, oh, there we go. $100 third prize, $150 second prize, $200 first prize. Third prize goes to, hold on. Gotta match the number with, I don't want to get this wrong. Okay. Uh-oh, I can't read this.
Come on, Steve Harvey.
I know, exactly. That's exactly what I don't get wrong. All right, who's this? Oh, no, those aren't names. Those aren't names. All right. You want third place, second place, third place? Yeah. Third place was our fourth speaker on art. Congratulations, Charles. Prize or whatever. Is there a prize? Is there a prize? I'm not in charge of prizes. There's a check. I don't think the checks are here. Neha, come on up here. Yay. Yeah, checks in the mail. Checks in the mail. Well, you've heard that before, haven't you? No, she hasn't. Right, is it the truth? Right. Second place on homelessness. Yeah, on homelessness. Our fifth speaker. Parsa. Sorry, I didn't write down names. Parsa, congratulations. First place. Topic. Our sixth speaker on pornography. Alexander. Very good. All right. Great. Thank you very much for coming and participating. We really appreciate all of you. We know doing this on top of all your schoolwork is a big ask. Thank you for coming through. This is the part where you say for the good of Rotary. Okay, I'll let you say that.
Real quick, remember to put up the chairs and tables. And if there's nothing else for the good of Rotary, we are adjourned.